How's everybody doing, guys? Welcome. And today is a big day, guys. We got a CPI inflation numbers coming out in 2.5 hours right now. But 1 hour before we actually get the numbers, 1.5 hour maybe before we actually get the numbers, the move will actually start. So today we gotta look for a dump or a big pump, and I'm gonna tell you what I think is gonna happen. Not only I'm gonna give you some hopium before that happens, and then we're gonna look at what has happened before and what we can expect now, you know, what kind of expectation we have for this core inflation, because CPI numbers are not that important. The important part is core inflation. Last time core inflation went up after being going down for a while, and right now the expectation is that this core inflation will still go up, but you know, we can discuss a little bit how that's gonna do. Before we come to that point, we're gonna look at this chart over here. This is dollar index chart, and saying right now that dollar is gonna dump down, at least in the short term. Now, if the core inflation starts rising big time over expectation, this can just pump towards sky, guys. If this pumps towards sky, Bitcoin is gonna crash towards downside. This is dollar index. Dollar index is inversely correlated with Bitcoin. So if this goes up, Bitcoin goes down, and vice versa. So we're gonna check out what's happening right now. Right now you can see that it is already losing steam and it's going towards downside. So we can start talking about this chart, then we're gonna look at the Bitcoin chart, and then I'm gonna tell you what I think is gonna happen on the CPI numbers when it comes out in 2.5 hours. Now, it's 2.5 hours from my making this video. It's you know, I don't know when it's in 8:30 Eastern time. 8:30 Eastern time. Now let's look at this chart a little bit, and we're just gonna, you know, draw a little bit, you know, roughly up here on the chart. And what you're gonna see here in the start up here, we had some kind of rising wedge, right? Now this rising wedge broke on the downside down here, and our targets for this rising wedge, if you go to the 1 hourly time frame, was down here at, you know, 112. Down here on 110, and all the way down here was also 110, right? 111, 110, 11, and 112. So I was actually expecting after this breakdown that this was gonna go all the way down here before it actually bounces, or down here or down here. Now none of these things happened. It went down low, but never came all the way down 112, which shows some kind of strength. It's still holding this, you know, this range up here, but right now it's having this breakdown already a little bit. But Bitcoin is not reacting to this breakdown, which makes me a little bit worried, but not that much, not that much. That said, what you're gonna see here on the chart is that we have been breaking the support for a while. So we had some kind of trend going up here towards upside, then we broke the trend, then we created some kind of secondary trend up here towards upside. Over here we broke that trend as well over here, and then we you know, confirmed it up here, broke it, and right now we are breaking this last trend up here. It goes something like this up here. Let me show you. It goes something, if I can just draw the chart line up here, it goes something like this, and you can see right now it is breaking. So it is losing steam towards the downside over here, and I'm expecting to, if it can go below previous low down here towards downside, I'm expecting it's gonna hit 112 or 110 or 111 down here, or all the way towards downside. So which of these support is gonna hold, which of these are gonna fail, I do not know, but I'm expecting right now in the short term that this is actually gonna go towards downside, which is actually quite good for us. That said, if this goes towards downside, Bitcoin of course it needs to pump. Now Bitcoin is holding okay-ish. I'm saying okay-ish because nothing is actually confirmed. This is a Bitcoin chart over here, and if you look, for example, on the 4 hourly Bitcoin chart, you'll see down here, let me just remove all the lines, over here you're gonna see here on the lines that we actually, last 4 hourly candle, we actually managed to hold above the support up here. Right now we are breaking this towards downside, but we still got a big divergence on the chart up here. We got a still big divergence on the chart, but you know, RSI divergences are lag indicators, so if this dumps big time down here, it's not very sure that we're gonna hold the divergence at that moment. But right now we are holding the support, we are holding the divergence, everything looks fine, but I think that these CPI numbers that are coming out today is gonna have a big effect on the price. Now the problem with the CPI numbers, if they are bad, and if the core inflation is very, very bad, since we are already at some kind of bottom on Bitcoin, down here, we might see a bigger move towards downside. We might see bigger move from the downside, and this might be the thing that actually crashes us towards downside. Now that said, again, short-term time frame up here, if there was no core inflation CPI numbers coming out today, I would say that this actually looks bullish. Number one, DXY is breaking towards the downside. Number two, we are on some kind of support. Not only are we on some kind of support, we are already, just like DXY, we are breaking certain trends. So over here, for example, we had this short-term trend up here that we broke towards upside. And right now we are again on the support, on that line, on the support down here, and we are looking for a bounce. So of course, if there was no bad news, black swan events, called whichever you want to call it, it's not actually black swan events because everybody's looking at those numbers. I would say that this actually looks bullish. We are on support, broke some kind of trend. DXY is, you know, rolling over, going towards the downside. You can see here it's rolling over, going towards the downside. Like, how can you be bearish? How can you be bearish? The only way to be bearish is because of the CPI numbers. But the CPI numbers isn't the big thing. The big thing is actually this United States core inflation rate. At least that's, you know, what the last time crashed us towards the downside. So you can see here in just before the November, this core inflation went up to 6.5, then it pulled back to 5.9, and you know, last month it went up from 5.9 to 6.3. And that's actually what people are watching, looking at, and that is what actually crashes towards the downside. Now you can see down here that the previous was 5.9, the consensus and the forecast was 6.1 or 5.9, but we came actually up to 6.3. So it, you know, it went above the consensus. It went above the expectation. It was worse than it was supposed to be, and we crashed towards the downside. I'm going to show you how this actually looked on the chart. Now, this time around, right now, it's 6.3 because previous is 6.3. Consensus is it's going to go up 0.2% towards downside. Forecast only 1% towards the upside. But if it goes above, I would say if it becomes like 6.6, 6.7, the dollar will skyrocket, the Bitcoin will crash. How much crash, I do not know, but I'm gonna show you what happened last time. Now let's look at what happened last time up here. Last time the numbers came out was on 13th of September. 13th of September, and that's over, where is it? Over here. This is 21st September. Sorry, this is the 4-hourly time frame. Here we go, 13th September, right up here. What you're gonna see here is that we have been having nice steady run all the way up here towards 13th of the September, and exactly up here when we had this core inflation numbers come out, we dumped down, and this was you know, it started going a little bit up, but you know, it ended, you know, dropping down in the next 8 hours like 12% towards the downside. So you gotta be careful that, because this can definitely happen again. And you can see, but the good thing was that before the actual inflation numbers, we came to some kind of bottom where we were, and then we had these inflation numbers, and then we crashed towards up, but we only crashed back down to the support, and we are still on that support level up here. Right now we don't have any kind of move that's preceding us. We don't have any kind of, you know, big move up here towards downside, a big move towards upside that's preceding these CPI numbers. So it's really hard to say what's gonna happen. But if the move is bad, we just might actually dump down, right? We can also dump down and then for some reason, you know, just have this, you know, spring towards upside. But the CPI numbers are a little bit hard to, you know, analyze, because there is not only CPI numbers and, you know, core inflation, there is all of these other things around, variables that can affect the market, and how the people, you know, market analysts are interpreting these numbers that can actually push the price up or down. And that said, let's zoom in a little bit up here on the 5-minute chart and go back to the 13th of August. Sorry, 13th of, what am I, wait. Sorry, I had to reload the chart, but here we are on the 13th of August. And you can see this first initial move is down like 5% towards downside immediately after it started. When it started up here, you know, it started, you know, being volatile up and down a little bit, you know, 0 point up, 0.8 down. It was starting, but it dropped big time on the downside. What you're gonna notice here is that down here, the move actually started going towards upside before it actually dropped. And this happened at 11 o'clock, and this is at 14 o'clock. So the big move came a lot before that, So we started going towards the upside. How many hours before? 3 hours before, 3.5 hours before we actually started dumping. We started going towards the upside and then dumped. So right now we are actually going towards downside a little bit. So maybe it's gonna be a move towards the upside. I don't know how it's gonna play out, but also look here, up here, just before we actually started, started dumping. This was 1 hour. This was actually, here is 1 hour before that. 1 hour before that, it started a little bit going on, a little bit up, a little bit down, but yeah, half an hour before that, we had this, very, majestic move towards upside and then dump down. So half an hour before, just before, 8:30 Eastern time, so just at 8 o'clock, the numbers, people knew something, and then it went up and then it crashed towards downside. So look for this initial move, half an hour, I would say half an hour before we actually start, going up and down, before the numbers comes out. Look for this initial move. Look for this initial move and see if we do, this type of stuff, because it can actually go towards upside, or if we, start, running up towards upside and then, maybe crash towards the downside. I don't know how it's gonna play out. I don't know, but you can see here already right now, where is it? Or this on 5-minute chart up here, right? Already right now, like we said, 3 hours before the CPI numbers came out, we are already on the way towards downside. So maybe this is actually a good thing. Maybe the fact that we are going towards downside is indicating that, the CPI numbers is gonna be good. It's really hard to analyze what's gonna happen. These forecasts, core inflation is gonna be good and bad. And even if it's good or bad, above or below forecast, the newspapers and analysis will find something that says this is the reason the market is going up is because this thing, and the reason the market is going down because this thing, so it can go in the opposite direction of what we actually believe. So there is that, guys, there is that. I would be very bullish on Bitcoin if there was no inflation numbers, but unfortunately the inflation numbers are coming out today and people are expecting it to be worse than before. Just how much worse? If they are above expectations, we're gonna dump down. What am I gonna do? Am I gonna sell everything and buy cheap later? Am I gonna hedge my position with some kind of cash that I have left over? I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I think I need to prepare for some kind of movement. So there is that. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hit the like button on the way out. Join KuCoin because, there is not lot of time left to buy gems, guys. There's not a lot of time to buy gems. And if you dumped on the downside, guys, gems only on KuCoin. I'll see you around, guys. Bye-bye.